Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to talk to you today about a case that has basically, I want to call obsessed the American public, and it happened back in 1996. And it's America's a lot less obsessed with this case than they used to be, but they're still pretty obsessed with it. And let me explain this, okay? On Christmas Day night in 1996, a 6-year-old girl named JonBenet Ramsey was murdered in her Boulder, Colorado home. Okay, she was a pageant girl, and she won several childhood beauty pageants. She was always competing in those toddler and tiara beauty pageants. In 1996, on December 26, 1996, Patsy Ramsey woke up to make the coffee. Patsy Ramsey was JonBenet's mother. JonBenet was the child of John and Patsy Ramsey. Well, Patsy Ramsey woke up to make the coffee, and when she was walking on the stairs, she saw a 3-page ransom note, and the ransom note said, "We have your daughter. We demand $118,000. Don't call the police." Well, the police are trained to deal with situations like that, and normally they are, but in Boulder was a very wealthy suburb that almost experienced zero crime. So the police really didn't have much to do on a day-to-day basis. But Patsy Ramsey called the police, and in addition to the police, she called over several friends because she was distraught. The 911 phone call is still recorded to this day, and it looks legit, like she's shocked and she's distraught that she saw that ransom note. Well, what happened was the police get there. But then friends come over, and a bunch of friends come over, but then the police did not isolate all these people to one room while the police searched the house. The police did not contain the crime scene very well, and they did not tape off the crime scene very well, and they did not tell the people just stay in one room so you won't unintentionally contaminate the crime scene. Well, that didn't happen as well. So you had friends cooking for John and Patsy Ramsey, friends making coffee and leaving their shoe prints all throughout the kitchen. It was just not a professional way to handle a crime scene. But I believe the Boulder police learned from their mistakes on this situation. Well, then one of the detectives, because it's such a big house, tells John Ramsey, go search the rest of the house. The detective told John Ramsey to do that. Well, John Ramsey goes and he finds JonBenet strangled and dead in the basement. He finds her in the basement. And because he found her so quickly in the basement, John and Patsy Ramsey start becoming suspects in this situation. And John Ramsey notes in his book that this is not the first time that this happened. There was one time where this guy, they suspected Mike Church of killing his own daughter, but it wound up being the work of a serial killer named Charles Brown. So it wasn't the first time that this happened, as John Ramsey notes in his book. And because the ransom note demanded that John and Patsy pay $118,000, that was John Ramsey's Christmas bonus from where he worked. And they thought that only an inside person would have that information. But due to technology now, the parents are not main suspects anymore. Patsy Ramsey passed away in 2006 due to ovarian cancer at the age of, I believe, 48. She died very young, and she had cancer before at a young age before JonBenet's death. And so this was her second time to have ovarian cancer. Well, anyways, so John Ramsey's still alive. He lives in Michigan now at 77 years of age. Well, with the technology nowadays, they found unidentified male DNA on JonBenet Ramsey. And they also found a footprint, a shoe print that more likely was a man's shoe print, but it didn't match any of the dad's shoes. And I firmly believe that it was an intruder because in Boulder, Colorado, unbeknownst to the Ramseys at the time, technology is not as rampant as now, so you can't go onto the registered sex offender website. Well, you can now, but you couldn't back then. But unbeknownst to them, there were about 40 registered sex offenders living in that area. So the best theory now, particularly with the unidentified male DNA that was found on JonBenet Ramsey, that an intruder came in, and the intruder hid in the house, and it was a very big house, so there were a lot of places for the intruder to hide, and the intruder killed JonBenet Ramsey while John and Patsy Ramsey were asleep, because JonBenet was, when she came home, she was knocked out, cold, meaning like she was sound asleep. The family had went to a Christmas party that evening, and everybody was tired. JonBenet fell asleep on the ride back home, and she was already asleep in the car before the Ramseys got home. So that happened. Okay. And then a retired detective named Lou Smith, he has recently passed away, but he's the one who firmly believes that an intruder got in the area and knocked JonBenet out with a stun gun and then molested her and killed her. And I firmly believe that he was right. The parents just don't strike me as the type who would kill their daughter for this. Number one, they found the unidentified male DNA on JonBenet. And specifically, not to get gory or anything, but specifically it was JonBenet Ramsey's underwear where they found the unidentified male DNA. So to me, that pretty much exonerates the parents right there. Second of all, there was evidence that she was molested. But then some people say, well, she may have been molested for a long time. Now, here's the thing. John Ramsey, even though he did not commit the murder, he kind of sees himself as responsible for it, and let me explain. He regrets having his daughter, well, he didn't have his daughter, it was Patsy Ramsey who had the idea of JonBenet competing in all these childhood pageants, toddlers and tiaras, and he nowadays thinks the toddlers and the tiaras are a bad idea, and particularly JonBenet won several of those, so she was in all kinds of newspapers. And to me, nobody needs to really be in a pageant, I firmly believe, until they're 18 years old. I just firmly believe those toddlers and tiaras are a bad idea, and they're a serial pedophile's dream. I'm not a fan of it. I don't have any kids, but if I ever have a daughter, I'm never allowing her to compete in those pageants. That's my personal opinion, and I stick with it. And John Ramsey now speaks out against the toddlers and tiaras, and I believe that somebody had been stalking JonBenet for years before they decided to go in there on Christmas night and then rape, molest, and kill her. Particularly when there were over 40 sex offenders living in that vicinity at the time, which there were. And that's a fact, okay? That's a fact. Okay, the other thing that had gone on. The only other theory, I would not say that the parents did it, and the only other theory, and I really don't believe this was the case, the only other possibility I could see is if Burt Ramsey, which was her brother at the time, who was 9 years old, and she was 6 years old. Siblings get in fights all the time, and he could have unintentionally hit her in the temple or hit her in a vital area or unintentionally knocked her out and killed her. And then the parents helped cover the murder just to protect their child. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think Burke even unintentionally killed his sister. So much evidence points to an intruder. And Lou Smith, who's a detective, says that. He said the police missed a baseball bat that was outside that matched the fibers on the carpet. And there was a window that was open and we still don't know if John Ramsey set the alarm before going to the Christmas party. I mean, it was such a big house, he could have snuck there anytime. He or she, whoever the intruder was, could have snuck there, but they say it's unidentified male DNA, so I believe it's he could have snuck in there anytime during the day. And I firmly believe that's what happened. And there were, like I said, and he ditched the baseball bat when he was getting out of the house, because they found the baseball bat was found outside the house, and it matched a lot of carpet fibers that were in JonBenet's bedroom and in the basement. And that is true about the baseball bat. And Lou Smith's granddaughters have a podcast as well, and they continue his work. And I firmly believe that Lou Smith did a good job exonerating the parents. I firmly believe the parents didn't have anything to do with the murder. I do believe it was an error on their part, and they're not the first parents to do this by putting their child in all those childhood beauty pageants. I just believe that was a very wrong thing to do, and it unintentionally made her, I believe, a victim of pedophilia, and then obviously murder. And that's why John Ramsey does hold some responsibility for his daughter's death because of that. And he says he wished he would have tried to talk Patsy out of putting her in all those childhood beauty pageants. So, anyways, hope everybody is doing well. Take care. God bless. And bye-bye. Bye-bye.